For entrepreneurs, they're scrolling through Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and they feel like they've got everything together. When in reality, they're juggling a million balls. Balls are dropping left, right, and centre. But they're not showing that. They're always just showing their highlight reel. And so what we want to do is just make sure that that's not affecting people's mental health and their mindset. That everybody's human. And also, what we've noticed is that if you actually show your vulnerable side and show that you're relatable through social media as an entrepreneur, then you're much more likely to attract people that you want to work with.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Find Your Calm, where we explore various health modalities from the ancient methodologies all the way to biohacking. Today, I'm very intrigued and excited to have a fellow health and wellness entrepreneur here joining me today, Antonia Bates, who is the co-founder of the Healthy Entrepreneur Club, serving here in Dubai, but also globally. Hi, Antonia. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
So let's dive straight in because you have a very interesting background that I really want to get into here. Let's talk about how you got into wellness. Let's go through your background.
Okay, so I've always been very creative and sporty growing up, and that's kind of influenced the businesses that we have today. So when I was about 4 years old, I started gymnastics, and my main inspiration was my sister. She did gymnastics. And I always went to her competitions, and I was on the sidelines and just cheering her on and making up my own floor routines and different routines as she was competing. And I was always really inspired by that, like I said. So my mum and dad put me into gymnastics, and I was doing it for like 12 years and kind of went up the levels, competed for my county, for my region, and then eventually for my country. So I was selected for England squad. And then trained quite a few England camps during my time when I was like 13, 14, 15 years old. And then eventually selected to compete for England. And I remember my first ever international competition. That was quite nerve-wracking, like quite a scary concept and a lot of pressure, but that's another story. So I was always very much into sport and health and wellness growing up. And my whole family have been very sporty as well. So my brother was into martial arts, my other brother into football, and like I said, my sister into gymnastics. And then as I left gymnastics, I started coaching it because it was such a passion of mine. So I wanted to teach kids and adults gymnastics as well. And then eventually I did dance and different styles of dance. And then I found the world of CrossFit. So again, that's more of a community-based kind of style gym. And really passionate about having a community of like-minded people within the health and wellness industry around me.
Right.
So yeah, I guess my health and wellness journey definitely stemmed from being a gymnast.
Okay. And so take us forward. You go to university and you study.
I studied textile and interior design.
How do you bridge the gap there? You spent your whole life in fitness and you went into that. How did that happen?
So I was always very creative as well as sporty. So I remember like when I was younger, my friends and my cousins, we used to always like stick pieces of A4 paper together on the floor and actually like draw floor plans of like our dream house when we were growing up. There would always be a gym in there, and we always used to have like a trophy room in there. She was really into football, my cousin, and
very
so we
much
had like,
manifesting.
a trophy room and a gym room, like a gymnastics room. So we always loved designing things, and I always. Growing up, my mum and dad used to make our home environment really supportive and really calming. And that's kind of when I realized the power of your physical surroundings on your mental well-being, your stress, anxiety, your sleep, your productivity. And for me, being in such an intensive sport, I needed to have good sleep. I needed to have a supportive environment. I needed to have like as little stress at home as possible so that I could recharge, ready for the next day of like school, training, homework, sleep, and repeat. And so not just like your social, physical surroundings, but the actual physical surroundings really had an impact on my mental well-being. So I was really interested in the science behind all of that and how that affects you. So that kind of made me want to go into like textile and interior design. And then after university, I landed an interior design job, but designing for show homes. And so here it was kind of very shallow in a way, because it was just show
aesthetic,
homes.
right?
Yeah. And I liked it and I learned a lot, but I felt like I wanted more, depth within the designing. And so whenever I would design a home, I would always picture a family in that home and try and get into their head. So really like understand your ideal client, get into their heads, like what are their likes, dislikes, their challenges, and try and predict their next move.
Right.
And so I would, design a space based on their needs and their hobbies and everything that they want to do. And then alongside that, that's how Studio New kind of came about, because I was quite limited with the amount of like experimentation I could do within show home. So I was like, hang on, I can work with actual clients. And I worked in marketing suites, sales suites, offices, and also like physiotherapy rooms, psychotherapy rooms. All of this was online, and I could really like delve into the science and the well-being behind the environment, because I knew how much of an impact it can actually have on your mental and physical state.
Absolutely. That's fascinating. With some of that work, did you tie in other philosophies or concepts such as, ancient Chinese methodologies or feng shui and things of that nature as well?
Yeah, I think like feng shui, I kind of learnt about that a little bit later on in my career. I'm half Danish, and so I kind of always grew up in a very Scandinavian home. And for me, the power of, I don't know if you've heard the concept of Hygge, Hygge. People kind of pronounce it in different ways, but Hygge is like a feeling that you can create. It's like directly translated, it's like coziness or calmness. And so people in Denmark might say, oh, like that's really Hygge, or this is a really Hygge atmosphere, or like create a sense of Hygge in a home. Okay. And so for me right now, like this atmosphere right now is quite Hygge, kind of with the fire one and things. And so it's, creating a sense of Hygge. And I was always brought up to like have that around me, and that kind of create a sense of comfort in my home.
Right.
So very, very much influenced by Scandinavian design and minimalism, and like minimalism meeting like aesthetics and function as well. So Japandi, so Japanese design with Scandinavian design. So like function, minimalism, streamlined furniture, but also promoting coziness, Hygge, and general well-being within the environment.
So is that something you still do a bit today?
So I still have Studio New running along the side.
That's wonderful.
When we moved to Dubai, we straight away designed like 7 or 8 offices. We moved last September, just over a year ago. And we designed like 7 or 8 offices, and with the concept of Hygge and minimalism in mind. So that could help reduce stress and anxiety within the workplace, but also promote productivity.
Yes.
Because you can have a lot of like visual noise around, and that can really affect people's work and mental state. And so we designed a lot of, we did a lot of residential homes, but we mainly worked on office spaces within, when we moved to Dubai. And also when we moved apartments in Dubai, in order to help me not to feel homesick, I wanted to create a space that actually felt like home for me. And so to portray who I am and my personality and my feelings and my kind of my soul into the home, I incorporated everything from home, Hygge, Scandinavian design, Japandi design, into our apartments that actually felt like home, so I didn't feel homesick.
That is beautiful. Yeah, I've never heard of the concept Hygge before. So just out of curiosity, for those who are watching and want to implement a notion of this themselves, what are some ways that they can do that?
So first of all, and I think everybody says this, it's like with Scandinavian design, declutter, like less is more. And
the whole Marie Kondo concept, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like a lot of, I don't know if you've heard of the lagom lifestyle. Again, that's a Scandinavian term, but it's Swedish. And here it's about appreciating what you have rather than having more things. And so you kind of appreciate what you've got. You don't need to have a ton of different things, but you actually like literally less is more. You appreciate what you have. And so if you incorporate the lagom lifestyle, so not just with physical things, but with everything around you, incorporate the lagom lifestyle, but also declutter so that you only have certain things within your environment that you actually appreciate, that you actually will use, that aren't dust collecting. So definitely declutter, definitely like just pick something up and do you actually love this? Does it actually serve you? Does it actually make you feel happy? If it's not, just put it away. What you can also do is, what I like to do is I'm obsessed with candles and vases and accessories. And obviously when we moved to Dubai, I had to be very strict with myself because we had 2 suitcases each, and literally 1 suitcase was full of candles and vases and everything with it, like from home.
She's like, these things make me happy.
Yeah, exactly. Like literally I had a suitcase of home and a suitcase of clothes. Like, that was it. So I had to be very strict with myself. But what I like to do is just mix things up. So I put them in storage. I don't have everything out at once. Put it into storage, like within our home, and just move things around every like 6 weeks, 2 months, just to change up the environment a little bit. So what people can do now, I would say, definitely just declutter. Make sure that you're actually like displaying things that you actually like, that actually make you feel happy. Does your home actually portray who you are and your personality, rather than like people tend to, they used to come to me showing me a picture on Pinterest saying, I want this, this is a trend and I want this. And I'm like, are you sure you want this? Like, it's lovely, but you might want something that actually portrays who you are as a person.
Right.
And that will probably withstand a bit longer.
Absolutely. Such good advice. I love that. I love that. So you had Studio New in England, and then you said, you came over to Dubai and things are going well, but then you did kind of have a strong pause moment because you had a major car accident.
Yeah. So what happened there was, it was like the overlap. So we were working in the UK, we had Studio New running, and we were in the countryside in the southwest of England. And I don't know if you know the roads, but it's like proper country style roads. And we had a really bad, I won't go into too much of the details, but we had a really bad car accident.
Oh man.
And when you're told that you shouldn't have survived that car accident, it kind of makes you just flick a switch in your head. You're like, whoa, I've got a second chance of life here, because like what happened was a car literally just hit us head on the other side of the road. He was overtaking and we flew over him, landed upside down in a ditch. And we ended up, long story short, we ended up walking away with very minor injuries. And we walked past the police, the fire engines, the ambulance, because it was in a field and we had to like walk all the way around.
Yeah.
And they were like, do you guys know where the people in the car was? And we were like, it's us. And they were like, no
way.
No, that can't be. How are you walking?
Right.
And so we're like, well, this feels a bit like a miracle in a way. It was very, very surreal.
Yeah.
And so we thought, hang on, we've been given a second chance of life here. We're 26, 27 years old at that time. Life's too short to just, we weren't unhappy in our current situation, but we were currently at that time flipping properties as well. So we understood like the power of the environment, living in a building site.
Yeah.
And I like to experiment as well with flipping properties and doing certain things to kind of alleviate all that stress and anxiety within living in a building site.
Yeah.
But giving us a new like lease of life, we were like, hang on, let's do something different. Let's do something a bit crazy. Let's bring Studio New over to Dubai. We knew we wanted to move to Dubai or another country at some point, because the year before that we went on holiday here for a couple of weeks. My brother lives here. And we were like, there's so much opportunity here for business, for a really cool lifestyle. One day we'll live here. Don't know when. There's never going to be the right time.
Right.
And we thought, hang on, this is now. Like, this is the right time. So in the space of like 3 months since the car accident, we literally sold our property, finished renovating it, sold everything inside other than my bag of candles and vases. Literally just picked everything up, moved to Dubai and relaunched Studio New here. But we worked with founders and entrepreneurs here, like I said, mainly on their workplaces. And then realized, hang on, these guys are also really stressed and like their employee well-being, there's an issue there, there's a lack of productivity. So I can manipulate the environment to alleviate these issues. Yeah. My partner's a Fortune 500 business coach, so he can help consult with the business on that side.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of like a win-win here. And then obviously that kind of leads to the Healthy Entrepreneur Club from there.
That's amazing transition, because some people get a second chance and they squander it. But you said, how do I give? And that's a very unique approach to that kind of situation. So the Healthy Entrepreneur Club. Yeah. Let's dive, talk to me about how, with you going and experiencing and having all of these things that, you've gone through, you've built these amazing homes and you flipped them and you've done all that, getting into the mind of entrepreneurs, that's a whole other minefield, because each person is unique. Every situation is unique. What made you say, yes, I want to give to that?
Well, I loved how when we work with entrepreneurs, they have a purpose behind them. And so our mission when we came here was to help 1,000 people to help 1,000 people. And if we can do that, working with purpose-driven entrepreneurs, then we feel like we're giving back to the world, like making the world a better place. So we do like specialize with health, wellness, and sustainable entrepreneurs, or generally entrepreneurs with a purpose to kind of expand their reach, expand their purpose, help more people, whilst also filling up their own cup, making sure they don't burn out and sacrifice their health at the same time.
That's huge. That's really huge. I know that my experience being here, because we've been here roughly about the same time, about a year, I quickly saw how unique of an environment the UAE is compared to other places in the world because of so many nationalities being here. But more importantly, we're literally building a city from the sand. It's a very unique situation compared to already established places. What have you seen be unique regarding stress, anxiety, depression here compared to England, for example?
Where I was in England, it felt very slow paced compared to here because I was in the countryside. And so it was very different. Here, it feels a lot fast paced.
Yeah.
And so if we can like help people find their calm through the environment, if we can help them get better sleep, eat healthier, look after themselves, take moments for themselves, then they don't necessarily have to like feel that stress and that anxiety through where they are, because I guess also like not just your interior environment, like Dubai itself is very like, for me, it's quite hustle and bustle. I mean, there's probably more cities out there which are more hustly and bustly, but where I came from, it was quite a shock to the system. And so I think also in Dubai, a lot of people, I guess all over the world, they use social media, but I think there's a lot of pressure with social media, having the perfect life, especially for entrepreneurs. They're scrolling through Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and they just see other entrepreneurs with their stuff together.
Right?
Like they feel like they've got everything together. When in reality, they're juggling a million balls. Balls are dropping left, right, and center. But they're not showing that. They're always just showing their highlight reel. And so what we want to do is just make sure that that's not affecting people's mental health and their mindset. That everybody's human. And also, what we've noticed is that if you actually show your vulnerable side and show that you're relatable through social media as an entrepreneur, then you're much more likely to attract people that you want to work with.
100% agree. I think that especially in the West, we've come to a point where we've seen that that's kind of where we are, even on LinkedIn, right? Because 3 years ago, that wasn't the case. People were not vulnerable on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And now that is the norm. So coming here to have such a melting pot of cultures and then say, be vulnerable. Many times they haven't even been vulnerable with themselves, so they have no idea how to do it externally. So I imagine you're working with a slew of entrepreneurs. How do you get them to not only be vulnerable with their audience, but be vulnerable with themselves? What are some ways that you've helped them to do that?
So we do generally start with a personal development plan call, and kind of that delves into what their goals are. What do they actually want from life? What's their passion, their mission, their vision, their purpose? Where do they see themselves in a year's time, 5 years' time? And I think it's also just breaking through that ice to make sure that they know that they don't need to have that hardcore shell in front of them, that it is okay to be human. Like humans interact with humans. They don't want to interact with a robot who's someone who's perfect in a suit. I mean, in some jobs, like if you're on Wall Street, or if you're like a bank or whatever, like you do need to have that sense of professionalism. But I think there's a new wave of entrepreneurship. And like you said, like you're seeing it on LinkedIn, I feel like there's a new wave of entrepreneurship where people are really portraying themselves, being who they are, feeling comfortable in their skin, but still being successful and professional, but in other ways. And so it's just making sure that they know that they can do that and you can still come across as being professional. But like we really promote, when we work with entrepreneurs, storytelling. And so we believe that it's easier for you to read, for example, read a LinkedIn post when it's like a storytelling approach. You start with I and end with you, but in the middle you have more of a storytelling approach. And that is an easy way to like create a more informal content and interact with your audience in a more informal way.
I love that. I love that. That is great. So you you are what I would classify, especially when you're giving and pouring into others in that way, you are like the healer, right? Because you're giving your energy, you're giving your time. You wake up every day thinking about how can I impact these people so they can impact others. So who heals the healer? How do you heal and work on yourself?
That's a great question. So luckily, I work with my partner, and we are very much a good support system together. So we also have our Labrador at home as well. So he's like part of the three musketeers at home. But we just make sure, like we say to our clients, you need to understand your red flags, like your burnout red flags. And obviously that takes a lot of trial and error. And it can be quite difficult to actually like understand, like, is that a red flag, or am I just like, have I got a cold, or am I poorly, like whatever.
Right. Is it the up and hill journey of just being an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah. And so it's for us just definitely understanding our red flags, but we very much like a routine. Obviously, but keeping it flexible, because entrepreneurship is so unpredictable. It needs to you need to have that flexible routine. But this kind of leads on to the healthy hustle that we talk about. So, for example, we like to, like I said, understand our red flags. We will go for a walk. We have to go for a walk anyway with our dog, many walks throughout the day. We go to the gym 5 times a week. And for me, that gives me a sense of creativity and innovation and inspiration.
Right.
Without going to the gym, without going for a walk, without moving my body, I have no energy. And it's so easy to just be like, oh, I don't want to go. But like last night, for example, we literally just we decided to go for an hour-long walk, watch the sunset, and we came back and we just felt just really inspired, just a new lease of life within us. We just felt really inspired and creative. So if I don't go and live my life, I'm not saying like go out for brunches all the time, but if you don't go and live your life and actually look after yourself and take moments for yourself, then I think you're going to struggle to create that sense of creativity within your business.
I agree.
But I did mention like the healthy hustle. So a lot of entrepreneurs, they kind of either say they need a work-life balance, or they need to go on and use like the hustle culture, and both are damaging, I think, for entrepreneurs. And so you have on social media work-life balance. A lot of people promote work-life balance, and that's great if you're an employee and you can stop at 5 o'clock.
Right. And
that's the perfect balance, and that's great for you guys. But as an entrepreneur, I think that's so unrealistic and actually really damaging for entrepreneurs' mindsets as well. Because they feel that sense of pressure that they have to get all that work done at 5 o'clock, and then that's it, and then be with their family, and then they feel that sense of guilt if they have to carry on working, which can be really damaging.
Yes.
And then on the other hand, like other spectrum, you've got the hustle culture where
I'll
that's
sleep when
dying.
I'm dead kind of thing.
Yeah, I know. And that's also damaging, because you're just going to kill yourself. You're just going to burn out. You're not going to be creative. You're going to end up hating what you're doing. And it's just not healthy. Like, what's the point in living? Yep. For me, I guess that kind of stems back from like the car accident. Like, if you're so lucky to be alive, you're so lucky to be healthy and do the things that you can do. Like, what's the point in hustling this hard to burn yourself out and make yourself ill? So
I agree.
We really try and promote, when people work with us, to have that healthy hustle, to create your perfect repeatable week, to put in you time, to put in anything that sparks creativity, makes you happy, makes you healthy, makes you money.
Yes.
Like, they're the main things that you need to try and incorporate. And like, I think it takes a while to actually create your perfect repeatable week.
Completely.
A lot of trial and error. I think we're still molding it. Like, we try for a couple of weeks and we're like, hang on, no, let's try and go to the gym at this time, see if we're more productive in the morning here, and move things around. So definitely creating a healthy hustle as an entrepreneur is super important.
Absolutely. And I mean, I couldn't agree with you more, because I've been technically a solopreneur for a lot of years. It was just me consulting, but now being a full-blown entrepreneur, we're building systems and products and all of these things, but I'm also a mom. So repeatable weeks is like, that doesn't exist, because a kid can get sick, or something happens with school, or there's a project, and then they've got activities. And then, on top of that, there's this with the business. So it's a constant. I gave up work-life balance a while ago, and I realized it's an ebb and flow. I need to flow like water. And so I try to do that more often, opposed to the proverbial notion of, there's this scale that I'm trying to achieve, because it just wasn't achievable for me. And like you said, that was exhausting for me. So that's why we developed the micro moments. So the products you guys are seeing is because I realized that I don't have time to decompress an hour or two each day, because that guilt that I was feeling as a parent of, okay, I'm constantly working, I'm doing this, but then I don't have any time to recharge. And I feel bad when I'm recharging because I could be spending it with the kids or I could be working, right? And so that constant feeling of everything is on me, what do I do? And then that exasperates chronic stress. So you're in this endless loop of this chronic thing. So micro moments as a parent who is an entrepreneur is so essential because you get just that little slice of time to say yes to you. And it doesn't feel like a lot, but it builds a habit, like you said. It's repeatable. It doesn't feel like it's a lot, but it helps you. So I think what you're doing is utterly amazing because it's so needed.
Thank you so much.
So needed in the world of entrepreneurship. So what are you most excited about coming forward? I mean, we're coming to the end of 2023. 2024 promises to be a big year in a lot of different ways. What are you looking forward to most?
I guess I'm really looking forward to working with our clients to really create more impact in what they're doing, just to make the world and make everything they're doing better, like make their clients better, make the world a better place. And I know that sounds quite big and broad and cliche, but I just feel really passionate about like all these coaches and health entrepreneurs and wellness entrepreneurs. These guys have talent and they want to help people, and they didn't necessarily come into business to run a business. They became a coach or a health coach, like whatever niche they're in, to serve people,
create impact,
and to create an impact. And so if we can like help them, boost them, make more of an impact, then we've done a good job ourselves. And for me, that inspires me on a daily basis, but also helping them fill up their cup. So kind of like their biggest cheerleader behind them and their business.
Absolutely.
I'm just really excited about that in 2024 for sure. Yeah.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Where can people find you?
So we are on Instagram, the.healthyentrepreneur. I'm on LinkedIn, Antonia Bates. My partner, Freddie Pullen, is also on LinkedIn. We have a podcast, the Healthy Entrepreneur Club podcast.
Awesome.
I say we, it's my partner that hosts it. I'm like the cheerleader behind. Pretty much all the channels are there.healthyentrepreneur.
It's wonderful. We'll make sure they're all linked below the video here. So Antonia, thank you so much. I definitely see some collaboration in our future.
Yeah,
for
definitely.
sure. For sure. So thank you for spending time here with us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was great fun.
Thank you. So thank you again to our sponsor, Decompression Realm, for the amazing products, the Micro Moment Wellness Box. Learn more about that in our free community at Find Your Calm. That's community.find, letter U, letter R, calm.com.